Hello sewing friends, and you are my sewing friends. My name's Jo, this channel is called Joey Sewy, and today I have a video all about my favourite things in July. So if you'd asked me yesterday, I would have said with great confidence, in fact great doom, that certainly one of my least favourite things in the world was sewing. July is not proving to be my best month for sewing. Actually not sewing. The sewing stuff together is fine. The things I am sewing together are staying together. Are they fitting the human bodies that they're supposed to fit? No, they're not. So I'm really struggling with a few fit issues at the moment. And although it's not my video where I round up my sewing, because the month is not over yet, I still have time to save it, I thought I would share that with you. I think fitting has always been the place where I feel least skilled, probably because it was only a few years ago that I realised fitting was even a thing in sewing, believe it or not. And even though I realise it's a thing, I have done very little of it. A little bit on me, I'm still learning, even less on other people. So when you jump in and say you'll make someone something and then it turns out that there are lots of things about their body shape that you're not familiar with, it's a journey at the moment. Anyway, I digress, because as I said, this is not a video about fitting or even actually strictly what I've been sewing. It's all about my general favourite-y things, a lot of which are sewing, but they're all manner of life. Now, the very first thing I'm going to share with you is my favourite purchase, and I'm wearing it. And it is this jumper, which is cashmere and which is amazing. I don't buy garments very much because I sew them when they fit, blah, blah, blah. But this is from a Scottish company called Brora. There they are. They do very high-end, I'm sure there are more high-end, but for me, very high-end cashmere, made in Scotland, so native to these isles. It's incredibly soft. I have bought from them before, but not for a very, very long time. The last time I think I bought something, I wasn't a parent, and my oldest child is 13, so that long, because back then I had a job which meant I could afford more things like this. But lockdown, I haven't been spending as much money, as that's the experience of a lot of people because we haven't been going out. So I actually found I had more disposable income than I ever normally do, and I decided that I would treat myself to a jumper, which the jumpers I bought 13 years ago, I still love, I still wear. They're all still in my wardrobe. It's not like I've got loads. I've got about 3. And I know this one will be as well. So I love the colour. I think it's a really good colour for me. Blue eyes, blue. It makes me go like this because it is so soft. I wish there was stroker vision, because you need to be able to stroke this. It's cashmere. It's amazing. But what I also love is the wide neck. So one of the things I am learning about, maybe it's not fitting so much as styling, is that the wide neck helps with the fact I have fairly narrow rounded shoulders, so that wide neck works. And the way that it adds a bit of bulk on the shoulders, maybe that wouldn't be flattering on everyone, but it's flattering on me, I believe. The length is pretty good. I could layer it with a long sleeve t-shirt if I wanted to, in the winter when it would actually be appropriate to be talking about and buying cashmere, but then it wouldn't be in the sale. And also, I am not wearing the most appropriate trousers to go with it, but these are what I had on, and it tucks in really nicely. So cashmere is obviously very warm per weight. That's one of the things of it is, I think it's true that it is the warmest fibre by weight on earth. I think that's true. It certainly feels like it should be true. So in a very thin jumper, you get all the warmth. And for someone who's super cold, most of the time, even in July on a sunny day, this kind of thing will get a lot of wear. So it did cost, well, I might as well just tell you, it's nearly £300. And that was the sale price. The regular price is over £400. It's a lot of money, I know. But like I said, this is going to be mine basically for the rest of my natural life. And I'm going to look after it, and I'm going to wear it, and I'm going to love it. So I took the plunge. You know, I won't be buying another one for another 10 years, but probably. But I love this. It's just gorgeous. And I really, really treated myself. So I was very pleased with it. So huge purchase this month. And although I don't buy garments very much, the one thing that does kind of justify it for me, they're never this expensive, but if I am thinking about shopping for ready to wear, the one thing that does justify it for me is that I couldn't make whatever it is, whether it's because of the way it's made, but more often it's because of the fabric. So I also actually bought a t-shirt this month, believe it or not. Why you wouldn't believe that, I don't know. It's not exactly the most dramatic thing ever done. But I guess for someone who can sew, to buy a t-shirt seems a little bit odd perhaps. And it's this, which I've just picked up off the floor because I was wearing it till I put this on to show you. And the reason why I bought it, yeah, it looks like it's been on the floor now. Partly is because the shape was amazing, and I want to copy the shape, but also the fabric was just exactly the right weight. And given that a lot of shops aren't quite open yet, although a lot of sewing shops are opening again, which is really great news for them and for us. I could search forever and a day to find a t-shirt that is just this weight. And I figured for the price of a t-shirt, I might as well buy this t-shirt. It's from a brand called Jigsaw, again in the sale. And yeah, so occasionally I do justify buying things, and it is usually when I really like the fabric and I know it could take me forever and a day to mimic that fabric. Sometimes I see a great shape and I think, well, you know, the fabric's okay, but it's not what I love about the garment. Then that's fine, I don't need to buy that. I don't need to buy anything, but then I think, well, that's fine. I can leave that on the shelf. I can go home, I can remember the shape. I don't actually draw things out, but if you drew things out, I could draw the shape. I could find it online and take a screenshot and remember it. And then if it comes about that I want to make something like that, I can do my best to kind of capture what that looked like and make something that's really similar. Assuming I can get it to fit, which I said that before. I really should stop being doom and gloom. Yesterday was just an awful day. I worked all day and essentially made this dress that I'm making for somebody else. I made it worse than when I started, and I don't quite know why. Well, I do a bit. Anyway, I need to put that one down. Step away from the depression. So related, like that's not stepping away, is it, Joe? Related, my favourite me-made garment is my green ginger jeans. So I will show you a picture of me wearing these. I made them 3 years ago, probably. And the reason why they're my favourite is because they fit so well. Oh yes. And I put them on yesterday when I was feeling like I couldn't fit anything, just to feel that I can do it, just to reassure myself that I can do it. I have 3 pairs of ginger jeans made from this pattern, all made from, you know, I adjusted it once and then I've made it 3 times, and they all fit really well and I love wearing them. And even though they're skinny jeans and high-waisted, they don't feel like wearing a tight constricted garment because they fit really well, and it's sized for stretch denim too. But the green ones I put on yesterday, and they saved my sanity when I was starting to believe that I couldn't do any of this sewing stuff anyway, and all of that negative self-talk that goes on sometimes. So yeah, those are definitely my favourite garment of the month because they saved my life. No, they didn't, but they did a good important job of making me feel better. Now, normally here I would then say my favourite pattern, but seeing as I hate sewing patterns just now, I can't think of one other than the ginger jeans, and I'm not going to pick that one out. This is normally about either the favourite pattern I've just found, or something that's just come out, or some, you know, that it might be new to me rather than generally new. And I haven't been looking for patterns very much recently, so I want to throw this over to you. I want to ask you, what is the best pattern you've seen recently? Again, doesn't need to be new, just needs to maybe be a discovery that you've made, but maybe not. Just tell me. You always give me good information, and if you're watching, you should look down in the comments to see what people have said, because there's always good information there. So tell me what floats your boat this month in the sewing pattern world. I would love to hear. Give me some joy, make me fall back in love with this thing that we do. Now, my favourite gadget this month was what I spent the rest of my pocket money on. This is like 3 months of, no, more than 3, a lot of months of saved up pocket money, and it is a smartwatch type fitness thing. Yes, I've got on that bandwagon. This is a Garmin something or other, I'll put it down here. My husband is big into gadgets and has a very fancy Garmin watch, and my 2 sons have Garmin watches, although not very fancy ones, kind of child versions. So when I thought, actually I'm going to get on the bandwagon, I asked him what I should get. So this is kind of a mid-ish. The main things that I like that it does is it counts my steps. It's much more reliable than anything I've ever had that does that before, and it has a heart rate tracker without having to wear a band. So once upon a time, a long time ago, I did have a watch where you had to put a band on, and I used to go to the gym. Again, before children. There were a lot of things I did before children that I don't do now. And that was fine, and it was pretty reliable with the band, but it's not like you can wear the band all the time. And to get rid of some of that lockdown weight, which is, I don't really want to say this out loud, but it's going quite well. What I'm doing is not drinking alcohol, not drinking sugary drinks, my 2 vices, and walking lots and lots, and then lots more. Going out for a couple of long walks a day, most days. And I'm finding it motivating to have the steps and to have the heart rate and all of that thing. So it took me a long while to come around to that point of view. Initially I didn't want to get one because I felt like it would just be a device telling me what to do and shaking its finger at me. But I'm in a mindset now where I've kind of already kicked myself into gear and started it. So the watch is a positive reinforcement rather than a telling off. So I'm really loving the motivation of it. I really like being able to count my steps and see how I'm doing. And I like the heart rate. And as a little side note, it is the summer holidays, school summer holidays at the moment. And to try and avoid the traditional, in this house anyway, daily argument about whether people are allowed to go on Xbox/Nintendo/PC/ name the screen of choice, we struck a deal with the children that as long as they did at least 10,000 steps a day or equivalent, cycling or other active things, and they ate their 5 portions of fruit and vegetables, which is what in England is recommended, then between basically during the daytime, between breakfast and tea, they can have as much screen as they like, which might make you go, really, as much as they like? But it's working out quite well, because they've worked out that we stop and we have lunch all together anyway, and they've worked out that they're going to have to do active things through the day to get their 10,000 steps. So if today's a Tuesday, what they do on a Tuesday, whether they get their steps and their fruit, relies on whether they get screen tomorrow on a Wednesday. So they've got to keep an eye on things and make sure that by bedtime they've done what they need to do in being active and eating healthily, and then tomorrow they can have all the screen. But tomorrow they also need to remember that they need to do the healthy things. And if they don't want to be on that treadmill of constantly doing steps and food and whatever, they don't have to have screen. They can choose. They're not going to choose not having screen. But we're about a week into the holidays, and so far, touch wood, it's actually has found that balance and has done what we hoped it would do, which is eliminate the arguments. And I cannot tell you how boring it is to constantly be saying, you should be off the Xbox now. You said you were just going to be on for an hour and it's been an hour and 20 minutes, and you just feel like a wind-up toy repeating the same phrase 50 times. And I don't want to be that parent. So at the moment, I reserve the right to change my mind. At the moment, it's working really well for us. So they're counting their steps, I'm counting my steps, we're kind of doing it together, and it's quite fun. So next is Instagram, and excitingly in July I have reached over 1,000 followers on Instagram. Woohoo! I am meaningful. Not really, I'm being sarcastic, but I have reached over 1,000 followers and it's great. I'm finding posting on Instagram is helping me develop my style. So I'm kind of using it so that I have a record of what I'm wearing and how I'm wearing things. And I look back and some outfits I think, yeah, I wouldn't repeat that. And others I know I really loved wearing, and so I've got a memory of it and I can wear them again. But even though I said that, my actual favourite Instagram, it's a whole account this time, sometimes it's a single post, is an interior one. And the account is called Annalise Jacobs, which I think is her name, and she is an artist, and she has an Instagram account which is known for the interiors on it. They are so colourful. It's amazing. She also lives in a rented house, so when you look carefully you see that a lot of the choices she's made are temporary and working around things. Like she's got a really not terribly attractive cooker because that's what the landlord has given her, but you don't really see that first in the kitchen because there's so much else going on. And while I just love it, some of you will probably not like it at all and it'll be way over the top for you, but hey, you know, we can't all be the same. That's totally fine. I love it. It would probably be too much for me to live with, but I kind of like pattern. I also like plain. But yeah, so I really like this account. So if you haven't seen it and you like interiors, then I would suggest that you go along and have a look at Annalise Jacobs. I particularly love her mural up her stairs. It's just beautiful. The blue is amazing. It's brilliant. And in fact, apparently it's going to be available as a wallpaper soon. A very expensive wallpaper, but good for her. So next category is my favourite YouTube / general watch. And I've got two ideas for you now. Something I suspect a lot of you will have heard of both of these already. But the first one, I don't know how I haven't mentioned it already. And the second one we'll get to. So the first one is the whole YouTube channel of Justine Leconte. She does styling videos. She is a fashion designer. She talks about the fashion industry. She is French. I think she's a Parisian, but she's French living in Berlin. So she's got a very European point of view and aesthetic, but she does her videos in English. She has a lovely voice which has a French accent, but is yeah, she has a beautiful voice. She has a beautiful channel. She does really accessible, down-to-earth, relatable style advice, but style advice that is also stylish. I mean, that's a weird thing to say, but she just kind of, I like her aesthetic too, I guess is what I mean. It's realistic and relatable. Said that already, but I guess that's what I like about her. I know that a lot of you will probably have seen Justine's channel already, but if you haven't, or if you'd forgotten about her for a while, I really recommend her. I'm currently signed up to a 25-day style journey with a stylist who is also a friend of mine, and it's a private Facebook group and a consultancy thing, and I'm thinking about taking it further, and I will let you know if I do. But yeah, so I'm really interested in how to style the clothes I make. I've mentioned it before on my channel. I feel like making things, if we put the fitting thing just over there and pretend it doesn't exist at the moment, making things I'm fine with. I can make whatever I want. Apart from that, that'll be fine. I'm still not letting it go. But I don't always feel like I hit the style I want. That is where I feel like I want to sharpen things up at the moment, kind of this year, this lifetime. That'll do, this lifetime. So yeah, I'm doing a 25-day style journey, which is not with Justine, but I think her channel was what started me off thinking about style even as a thing, which sounds mad to say because of course style's a thing, but I hadn't ever thought about it until I started watching her a few years ago, and then went a little bit further with my thoughts. Can't say I found a solution yet, but I know a lot more than I used to. Now, the second thing that I'm going to recommend you watch, you will only not have seen if you live under a rock, maybe, because it's a film from, I think it's 1983. Let me check. 1986. And it is the absolute classic Ferris Bueller's Day Off, We're watching a film every Friday night. It is our movie night, which we started during, well, just before lockdown actually. And each member of the family gets to pick. So we all get a turn each 4 weeks. And my last turn was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And it was as good as I remember it. And the boys loved it. Now, the original certificate of it was 15. The Netflix certificate, it might be slightly edited, or actually it might just be, because time's moved on. We're finding this a lot with the older films that we watch, that the rating used to be a lot harsher than it is now. So my kids are 9 and 13, and the only thing in Ferris Bueller, in my opinion, that rated the necessity for any kind of rating was there are a few swear words, not the high scale ones, mid-level ones in my view. Language and all of that, I am not here to tell you how to parent. I'm not here to tell you what you approve or disapprove of. That's completely up to you. You need to be comfortable with it. But for me, I was happy with my kids hearing and watching that. It's not used gratuitously. It's a hilarious film. We always have a conversation in our household about language and the appropriateness and the use of it, and don't make a word more than a word, because it's just a word, but you need to understand what you're doing with it if you choose to use it, and when you really should not choose to use it. That's our approach. But like I say, I'm not here to tell you what approach to take. I'm just telling you that Ferris Bueller is a hilarious film, and unlike some other films, it has definitely stood the test of time. Really enjoyed it. So if you have any classic films of that type, or any films that you love, I would also love to hear that down in the comments below, because we're kind of trying to go all over the place, all 4 of us, all our different ages, different likes and dislikes. We choose a film that we want to share with the others each time. So let me know if there's anything like that, or even if you think, you know, this isn't for kids, but I think Joe might like it. I would like to know that too. And finally, my audiobook or read. And I would like to ask you, well, it's not just an audiobook, it's a listen. So I would like to ask you if there's anything fabulous that you've listened to recently, because I haven't been doing a lot of listening. I've listened to 2 audiobooks this month, and they were both parts of series. So one of them was the next book in the Ursula K. Le Guin, what's it called? Tales of Earthsea series that I told you about me listening to the first part quite a few months ago, and I finally got around to listen to the second, and there are more parts. Really enjoyed that. It was the Tombs of Atuan. And I did also really, well, I'm partway through, and I think I will enjoy, because I've enjoyed all of them up to now, a book called Fallen, which is part of a series about wizards and magic. There's a theme. I like that kind of thing. But because both of them are not the start of a series, it doesn't feel kind of as relevant, because you need to really have listened to the others. And I've mentioned the others before. So I would like to know about a listen, if you can tell me any, please. And what I thought I'd share with you is a real actual book written by my friend. And this is gorgeous. I probably came across it more because I know her. And actually I've done sewing for her. She's someone who sews as well, but she doesn't have machines that are as good as mine. So sometimes when she needs tricky things doing, she comes and helps. Or after lockdown, we'd really like to sew together, but yeah, not at the moment. So it's called Swimming Wild in the Lake District. And it is a beautiful book. The photography in it is incredible. It came out during lockdown. There's Susanna. So she's called Susanna Cruikshank, and she is a wild swimming instructor. I'm just flicking through this. There's Bass and Thwaite. We both live in the Lake District. So if you don't know me, that is where I live. Derwentwater. And as I say, she runs wild swimming courses and holidays. You can look her up. I will put her website and all of that stuff, and there'll be a link to this book. But this is her first book that came out during lockdown. Of course, we didn't know it would be during lockdown. She had all sorts of book launches planned and all of that thing, and obviously none of them could properly happen, which is really devastating when you've put your heart and soul into your first book. I really hope it's not going to be her last book, because she's made it so accessible. So basically it's a guidebook, but it's also just lovely to look at. So during lockdown was when I got this, and it was like being able to get out and about without being able to get out and about. That's how good a kind of taste of the lakes it gives you. So even if you are not all that attracted by the idea of leaping into a lake and freezing your bottom off, Grasmere, I still think it's a beautiful book that you can kind of do armchair swimming. That's what I did. I did armchair swimming. I want to get brave enough so that one day she can take me. You don't have to be a strong swimmer. I'm not a strong swimmer. You can be, but she does stuff all sorts of levels, and one day I want her to take me and dunk me in a lake when I get brave enough. I hate being cold, but the general idea of swimming wild safely, which is exactly what this tells you. It tells you safe places to get in and out, and gives you short swims and gives you longer swims if you're confident in that. But knowing a safe place to enter the water, even though these are lakes, there are still currents, there are still lanes where boats go and stuff. So knowing all of that background information so that you know that when you step in the water, you're doing it safely is really important. So if you would like to armchair swim, or if you have someone who would like to really swim, or if you would like to really swim, then I would really recommend this. It's gorgeous. We're putting it in, I've read it cover to cover, and then we're going to put it in our guest room so we can entice people who visit when we have people to visit, who might want to jump in a lake somewhere. But maybe they'd take me with me and I'd freeze. Didn't think that one through. Anyway, so that rounds up my favourites for this month. I feel like I have nattered and chattered and digressed a great deal today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you always for watching, and don't worry about me. I will get over myself and I will decide that I can sew something at least. Yeah, I'll get over it, and I know you guys will be there to experience that alongside me. Thank you so much. I will see you again with another video really soon. Bye for now.